Have you ever wanted to glide across the Long Island Sound in a boat powered by oars? To watch the sunrise over the water reflecting its rays across the sky? To take part in an activity that is not only physically strenuous, but also mentally challenging? Our next guest works at a rowing club that allows underprivileged youth to do just that, instilling in them a love for teamwork and a respect for hard work that will last them the rest of their lives. The Humanities Mass Communications Art Department at Norwalk Community College presents The New Directors, the show that introduces you to television's future writers, directors, and personalities. And now, join our host, Leroy Moore, to meet the next new director.
Thank you for joining us for today's edition of New Directors. All the people involved with this program are students in the television production course and are directing, switching, controlling, audio operating cameras, and acting as talent for the first time today. The guests you're about to meet are students who, when not on camera, are behind the scenes working hard to bring this program to you with as few mistakes as possible. Each student write and direct 4 different productions. This program will give them the chance to talk about themselves, the productions they are planning, and give you the chance to get to know them and watch the progress. Throughout the semester, our guest today is a person who, in addition to taking the TV production course, handles maintenance at the local rowing club. I would like to meet our guest today, Mike Labine. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
As we heard, you're employed by a rowing club that does community outreach work. Can you tell us what exactly your responsibilities there entail?
Well, for a while I was the assistant coach to the novice boys team, but I had to stop that in order to take classes here at NCC. While I was doing that, I'd be out on the water in the motorboat, following the kids as they were in the rowing shells, while I was coaching them and making sure that they were following all the safety guidelines. Once I actually had to fish them out of the water after they fell in, it was 30 degrees that day, so you can imagine they were pretty cold. Now I'm helping with boat maintenance, fixing the boats once they get broken, which happens more often than I'd like, certainly. On a typical day, I'd be filling up gasoline tanks for the safety launches, patching holes in the hulls, cleaning up the site, and other various tasks. Speaking to the matter of community outreach, a lot of our athletes come from low-income families, and rowing is a sport that unfortunately costs a lot to organize. An average price for one of the boats is $30,000, so the membership costs at most clubs have to be high in order to cover their overhead. However, at our club, we hold an annual fundraiser where we raise money for the Matthew Zucker Memorial Fund, which pays for youth who would otherwise be unable to participate due to financial reasons. Matthew Zucker was an athlete at our club who was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer and decided that he wanted to help others gain the same life experience as he did with rowing. I would like to think that he would be proud of what our club has accomplished in regards to that.
Could you tell us why you decided to take the TV production course?
Well, my family's been writing for TV for generations, so some of my earliest memories are from the ABC studios in New York and LA. And I was always, I found it really fascinating to go there and see the behind-the-scenes stuff, like how they could turn a set with only 3 walls and make it look like an actual building, like a full building.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've pretty much always grown up with TV productions. I wanted to learn the ins and outs of it.
Okay. So what are some most important things you learned in this course?
Well, I learned to match the cuts on the action in order to make the entire movie seem smoother, which is really important. I learned to change the image size and angle, which kind of hides any errors that you might have, you know, any continuity errors and stuff like that. Okay. Also, another important thing was the rules of composition. For example, the rules of thirds. You want to not keep the object in the center so that the viewer's eye is drawn across the screen to make it a little bit more interesting.
Okay. Well, please tell us about the learning sequence, the student take notes project, the fall foliage project, and the orange project you happen to create.
Sure, let's watch some clips of them.
Okay.
For the learning sequence, I tried to make a scene that flowed well while only using one camera. In order to do this, I had to have the actor replicate what he had done in the previous shots in order to allow me to cut on the action. We weren't able to use camera moves, so I was able to focus on the fluidity from shot to shot. This project gave me a good foundation to build my next projects on. Next up is the Student Takes Notes project. With this one, we were given a script to follow, so the focus was more on making sure that we were able to set up the shots provided. We were made familiar with the different types of shots, such as close-ups and over the shoulder.
Okay. That's very interesting.
Yeah, it was good fun. Next up is the Fall Foliage Project. With this one, we focused on composing the shots by the guidelines we were taught. It was a good chance to exercise the rule of thirds, racking the focus from one subject to another, and using a shallow depth of field to really emphasize the subject and make it pop against a less distinct background. It was especially fun since New England has some of the most beautiful autumn scenery in the nation. Lastly, we have the Orange Project. With this one, we were focusing on bringing all we had learned together. We were able to use the camera moves and composition we'd picked up in the Nature Project and combine them with the linear sequencing of the Learning and Student Takes Notes project. Overall, I'd say we gained a lot from the projects we were given.
Now, I know you had one project that was your favorite. Tell us about it as we review your best work.
Well, I'd say the best project I did was the Nature Project.
Okay.
It was especially fun since we were allowed to use music in the background. And I tried to match the cuts to the tempo of the music, putting cuts between measures and more dramatic shots on the crescendos. I had to film a lot of footage to be able to fill all 4 minutes of the song, as a lot of the scenes I edited were 5 seconds or less in order to match with the music. Going out into the woods to film was also a great exercise as I tried to view the scenery around me as it would be seen through the lens, and tried to find naturally occurring geometric shapes and how best to frame them. All in all, I think I definitely had the most fun with this project.
Okay. Well, you had mentioned a variety of things you learned in this course. What was the most interesting and important skill you learned? And how did you put it to use?
Well, I think the most important thing we learned was the editing techniques, because before the class I knew what a good movie looked like, but not really how to replicate that. But now I'm able to pick out all the editing techniques they're using, like matching on the action as I previously stated.
Okay.
But most humorously, I'm able to see where the continuity errors exist.
Yeah.
And how I would try to actually change what they had done in order to avoid that.
Okay, okay. Well, today we got to meet someone who, when not behind the camera or in the editing lab, is out by the Norwalk River repairing boats and performing other various tasks. I would like to thank our guest Mike for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. We hope you enjoy meeting some of television's future directors, and we hope you will continue to join us each week to watch our progress. Thank you and good day.
This has been The New Directors with your host, Leroy Moore, directed by Genesis Fernandez. I am your announcer, Sean Allen. The New Directors is a Norwalk Community College student production.